Yeah, dude. Let's go through some sessions. I know you have
Sounds
some
good.
picked out.
Yeah, I did. I had sent you some links in Reddit, but I think I can just bring up the dates here. Just let me bring up this collection of links here.
Yeah, sure.
I basically just wanted to, how to say it? I wanted to just isolate a few that are, examples of about the 25% rule for me. So hit rate right now on social RV is about 65%,
Hmm.
but about 25% of them are the sort of hits that really kind of blow your hair back. So I
Yeah.
wanted to give you a good example of a miss first. If you go to my social RV page,
Sure. Actually, yeah, I'll go to that. That'll be easier. I was going through our Reddit discussion. Social RV. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna pull it up and then I can screen share
there
as
we go. And
well.
I'll be able to just give you dates now too, now that I got the list up in front of me.
Yes. Okay. So first, I'm just gonna screen share. You can do screen for. Okay. Can you see this right now?
Yes,
Okay, perfect. Let me make sure OBS. Okay, OBS is still good. Perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna go to your page. We're gonna
perfect.
go Craig Signals.
So the very last session that I did is a great control because it's a total miss.
Okay, the January
While I'm up
20th.
there. Yep.
Okay, so let's.
So this, for all viewers, is what it looks like when you get an absolute miss. Because a lot of people are like, well, you can probably get something about the target every single time, right? Just by happenstance.
Yeah.
No. If you get a miss, if you don't make contact with the target, you're completely off. This I'm seeing these geometric shapes. I'm seeing this honeycomb pattern.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and it's Da
And
Vinci,
it's Da
and
Vinci.
so there's a couple other. The only thing that I got in this whole thing is the next scan.
Yeah.
It
Oh, I go. It's right
I'm
here. Change the UI.
there we go. I'm talking about how it looks like it's offset, an offset perspective, as opposed to looking at it straight on. That's
Gotcha.
the
Yeah.
only piece of data that seems like it's coming from the target, but the rest of it is all a total miss.
Yes.
I might have gotten some of the like because it talks about his inventions and the helicopter and all that stuff. So it's possible that
It
that's
could have been
involved in
that.
that,
Yeah.
but that's a miss.
You chalk it
Uh,
up as not greater than chance.
yeah, not greater than chance.
Okay.
So go to, let's see here. Go to the one on December 21st.
There isn't. I don't see one on the 21st.
It's right now you're not, you need to go to the top. Actually, hold on, that should have been there.
Is it?
Submitted
Do you have it?
December
Do you have
21st,
it? Do you have it?
2025.
Is it a public one or is it privated? Oh
It
no,
is
they're all
public.
they're all public.
All of mine are public.
That's
That's
weird.
so weird.
It's the NSA
Okay.
again. That's 3 times in about 15
No,
minutes.
no. Go ahead and do the one that's 6.5, the 22nd. I
Okay.
don't know why it would. I don't know why it would show up as a 22nd for
Oh, a
you.
time zone difference probably.
Oh, got
Right,
it.
that's
That
most
makes
likely what
sense.
it is. Okay. Feels playful, excited outdoors, like a place designated for recreation. Animals feeling like people bring their animals together, and then AOL Dog Park, and we'll go
Good,
over
good. No,
the other
okay,
ones.
that's fine.
Yeah,
Go
that's
to the
that.
next one.
Yeah. Oh, and then you got a fish. Show me something I'll recognize. It's like a fish thing. Water feeling. Crescent shape feels alive and streamlined, like I'm looking down at the surface. Feels like swimming. Fish underwater. And then the last one, hollow impression. You can look. I've seen actually. I've seen this one before. Maybe because you sent it to me. Hollow round impression. You
Yeah,
can
yeah.
look deep into. Round shape is above a second shape with a pointy, thin area of separation between them. Very interesting. This is such a funny picture. Also, like, what the hell
It
is he?
is.
What even is going on here?
This is an example of a really good target picture. A
Yes.
really good target picture is a picture that you react to instantly, being able to understand it almost at the moment of looking at it. So in this case, you look at this and you're immediately like, that's hilarious, right?
Yeah.
So I have this really like playful, like that sea lion looks like he's having a great time. I'm like, this is,
And this guy, the way he's looking at us.
yeah, I'm able to describe that there are animals involved, that there's a fish underwater, and that there's this hollow impression that you can look into,
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
it's all there. That's very
It's all
interesting.
there. It's a
Um,
really good distinction between an absolute miss and when you're on target getting good information from the target.
Yeah, and that reminds me, like all there's so many different of these, variables that you want to control it for, and I forget what the exact term is for it, but like Damon Abraham, I think he's associated with ions, or this is associated with ions, but they release like a target database where they ranked all of these different images on like 19 different like dimensions or something like that, and one of them has to do with like emotional connotation, something like that. And I remember going through the database, like there were certain images where I was like, why the hell, like this is very unsettling, why is this on here? But it's for that reason, is because you want different
Yeah.
like levels of emotional intensity and things that kind of jump out at
Yep.
you right away.
As long as you have an emotional reaction to the target instantly,
Yeah.
I think that's probably the most important thing. But also recognition. In order to be able to capture analytical data, specifically to be able to talk about the nature of your target, you need to be able to understand what it is you're looking at instantly when you react to it. So I think that's a really important aspect of target photos also.
That's very
Uh, let's find another one here.
Dude, I gotta send a message to Chase and be like, "What the hell is this, bro?" And send him that target. That's such a goofy target. It's good, but it's
It's
just.
very, I love it.
Yeah, I
Works
know.
great.
It's awesome. I love his targets. I love his target pool.
Go to July 4th.
Okay, we gotta go back. Back even more. Back even another one.
Oh, wow.
July 4th. Okay.
There we go.
5.8.
I love this. I love this session.
You have vertical bars that provide weight-bearing support stretching into the distance. Long horizontal shapes sitting on top of the vertical bars like shelving. Feels functional, like used for storage and organization. Feels like metal bars, dark area, dimly lit. Large browns, also some reflecting light up on each side. And then, the colors, yellow light, brown wood tones, orangish, red colored industrial feeling. And then, so that's the only scan. This is a very good one. I remember you sent this one to me. This is very,
Yeah.
very good. For
Orangish
multiple
red
reasons.
colored industrial feeling.
Yeah.
One scan
You know,
feels like vertical bars that
yeah.
provide weight-bearing support stretching into the distance. Like,
Yeah, and they're going to a vanishing point. Like the two things you drew, they're going to a vanishing
exactly.
point. Like that's
Yep,
very
exactly.
that's awesome. You know what? You know what I've been thinking recently? I don't know what it is about the color red. I think the color red probably among colors might have the highest hit rate consistently that I've ever seen across viewers. I have no idea why. I mean, I
Think
could come
about
up with
the
a
emotional
hypothesis.
connotations. Think about the emotional
Sure.
connotations. Like if we're
Sure.
getting into emotional impact, also um, water. Water has such a high rate of people being able to connect and recognize that water is present in an image.
Yeah.
Um, I just think that any of these, it's both the microcosm and the macrocosm, right? The individual details, the minute aspects of the target image, you would react to emotionally, and the colors are part of that. And so, like, if there's a color red that jumps out at you, you probably had an emotional reaction to it when you saw it. That color impacts people. Um, and the same is true on the macrocosm of the thing. All of the details in their aggregate also create that emotional reaction. So I think both of those two things kind of they operate according to the same rule.
Yeah, and I don't know specific details, but I have heard that from a psychological point of view that red, I guess for biological reasons, because normally if you saw something red in nature, it was either it was either really bad or really good. It's like blood or it's like a berry or something. So it's used in like food advertising a lot, for example.
Yeah.
Something about it
Yep.
really jumps out at people.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
fascinating.
So that session in the process of capturing the data, what I was seeing was like almost like shelves at like Home Depot, right? They were set up and they were bearing weight and they were extending out in this very, very long corridor. I remember
Mm.
sort of experiencing that visual and when breaking it down into its fundamental language, it really painted the picture of this actual target really well. I wish I would have gotten more technological feelings with it. Like I said, it was used for storage and organization, which
Mm.
is not wrong.
Yeah.
but I wish I would have gotten something like, radio waves or some sort of an energy source. Light reflecting on the upper right side, though, is also correct if you look at the angle of
Yes.
the sunlight.
Yes, that is true. I didn't even notice that, but wow. That's exactly where the sunlight's coming from. Or do you find that you have a good, like, I guess, spatial recognition? So like me, for example, whenever I'm doing sessions, whenever I like try to pinpoint exactly where on the frame something is, I'm almost always wrong. Do you have a decent consistent ability to do that, or do you have that problem as well?
It's weird. It always feels like I know where something is in the picture. And sometimes I'm looking at the picture upside down. That happens so often. If you get a chance to read Everyone's Guide to Natural ESP by Ingo Swann, it's one of the best books on the topic. And in it, he describes this soda can. It's a very famous example where his target was a soda can, and he drew it, and he drew this like weird, almost like a hieroglyphic on it.
Mm.
And the reason he was working with said, Ingo, turn your paper upside down. And he turned it upside down, and it was 7 Up. He had written
Wow.
7 Up upside down
Upside
without
down.
recognizing it. This is something that happens in remote viewing, is you are looking at the target, but you don't necessarily know that you're in the correct orientation. And you don't necessarily know that you need to ask to look at it as you are going to look at it when you see your target feedback. Your subconscious,
Yeah.
it really needs you to lead it on a leash to give you specifics of what it is you're looking for. Some people think that this is like a trickster aspect of the phenomenon, that it gives you this information in a strange way that'll be confusing, almost like asking a genie for a wish and
Hmm.
it gets the wish wrong. But I don't think that's it at all. I think the subconscious is incredibly intelligent in a different way. It's incredibly intelligent when it comes to feelings. And so your subconscious wants to work with your conscious mind. It's just not good at the analytical stuff. So it could be that to the subconscious, it's getting everything exactly right, but it's getting something so fundamentally off that it's looking at the picture upside down and it doesn't know it. So you really have to deal with the subconscious sometimes like it's, like a 2-year-old or a golden retriever, or,
Mm.
something that's, it wants to help and it's there and it can do a lot of things, but you really have to guide it along.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And I don't know if you saw that person that we're in a group chat with, what the text that they sent today about basically giving their mind instructions before a remote
Yeah.
viewing session, and they said that the accuracy helped so much. That's something that I've played with a lot in the past, and I got it from Gary Nolan's protocol that he outlines in American Cosmic Diana Pasolka's book, where it's like you can literally give the subconscious instructions and almost
Yeah.
treat it like it's a separate individual. And you don't always really get an answer back, but it listens to what you're saying. And there's certain, experiment, like, the split brain experiments that have been done that used to be done as an epilepsy
Yep.
treatment, things like that. I really do think that it almost acts like a separate entity, which when it comes to questioning, the fundamental nature of consciousness, really throws a wrench in it. Because,
We treat, sorry, go ahead.
no, no, you're good. You're good.
We treat the subconscious like it's a separate entity. We sequester the subconscious away from our everyday experiences. And we treat, like, think about it. The word thoughtless is an insult in our culture, and
Mm,
thoughtlessness is where the subconscious communicates.
mm,
And so, like, it shouldn't be surprising to us that it feels like a separate entity to communicate with this very basic part of our nature, because we ignore it so much. And even so much so that when people do finally interact with it, a large subset of the population considers it like a demonic force. Like, it's just this, it's a part of you. It's always been there. It's been along for the ride the entire time. You spend 8 hours a day asleep, where your subconscious is 100% in control of all of your biological functions. And, but still we consider this thing to be, yeah, outside of us. No, it's a part of you. It's just a part of you don't use very much at all. We should start using it more.
yeah, that's fascinating. Um, I I completely Agree, and I think that it's not only something that needs to be used more from like a research point of view. I think that there's so much, potential with it. I think it can be utilized for certain things, potentially like I think as we start understanding more and more about consciousness, these odd kind of like, artifacts of our consciousness that exist that we don't seem to care a lot about now. I think we're gonna start seeing them with more utility. Your subconscious being one of them. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. I'm completely on the same page. Do you have another session in mind to go over?
Yeah, let's look at September 27th.
Okay, September 27th. Let me go
You were
back a
asking about
couple.
spatial awareness.
Yes.
So this is a good example. Oh, is that not the one?
This is the 27th.
Well, this is also a good session, but the one I'm thinking of, I've got it at 9:43 p.m. So is it the next one?
Give me one sec. Let me go.
September 28th, maybe on yours?
Yeah, this one's ranked to 7, so that's probably it.
There we go. Look at the third scan on this.
Okay. Let's look at the
The third
third
scan, all of them were okay, but the third scan was so on target.
Show me what I'll recognize when I look at the target. White surface on the left, and then you've got, some water-looking stuff in the middle and some brown ground over here. Looks like an opening from outside of space with shadows created by overhanging hard rock or concrete. There's a thin stretch of water in front of me outside, like a long, thin rectangle shape of water, smooth white surfaces on the side with brown color created by stone and shadow. So like, this is stone overhanging, creating this shadow over here. Okay.
So I'm looking out of a space from the inside, like looking out an opening from inside a space with shadows created by overhanging rock or concrete. There's a thin stretch of water in front of me. So go ahead and look at the picture.
Wow. Wow, that's awesome.
Looking out an opening from
I
an
know.
inside space with hard rock or concrete above me. And then what's the rest of it? The last part, smooth white surface on the sides with brown color created by stone and shadow. And that orientation, if you look at it, this is pretty much like I'm sitting right there next to the guy.
Yeah, this is you.
Out at that space.
This is you right
the
here.
The orientation is correct.
Wow.
So sometimes you can really dial into, and I've seen people do this. There's a great example from Ed May's book where Joe McMoneagle was in a lucid dream. And his goal in the lucid dream was to find an envelope in the other room and open the envelope and take it out and look at the target ID and then do a session. He couldn't find the envelope. He got into the lucid dream, went into the other room, couldn't find the envelope. And so he's like, well, I don't know what my target ID is. Forget all this. Take me to the place the cameraman was standing, put me right next to his camera, and let me see exactly what the camera was seeing. And his subconscious responded like that. Because he didn't need the target ID. He knew he was going to get his feedback and react to his feedback in the future. He knew he was going to see the picture.
Mm-hmm.
So he gave his subconscious a command. It's the same thing, but in his case, the orientation was absolutely perfect. And this is a really good example of the same kind of accuracy of orientation. But it doesn't always happen like that. If I were to stick to a more rigid, like if I were to issue a set of commands in a specific order at the beginning of every session, it's possible that that would pan out. I worry about doing that stuff though, because the more you start to treat this like a program, the less creative and artistic the process feels. The more natural and flowing the process feels, I think the subconscious gets more space to really just let the good information just come out like a faucet. Like you just open the faucet and the subconscious just pours good information out because it feels like a creative force. Like the moment that an artist has inspiration and has to feel compelled to make whatever thing that they're inspired to make, I feel like that same force is at work behind remote viewing, at least in my case. And that is, the more you try and put restraints on that process, sometimes that sort of diminishes the quality of the end product. And sometimes it does exactly the opposite. Patton Oswalt said that he never wrote better jokes than when he had to shorten them down to 144 characters on Twitter. So for some people, putting those guardrails up actually produces a better product. So I don't know what the rule is for that. It's just another example of how people need to really spend time in their own personal process to figure out what works for them.
Yeah, and I've started doing informal ARV trials, just like preliminary research with another remote viewer. His username is Higher Minded on my site. His real name is Nick Bro or Nick Brow, and
I've
something.
looked through some of his stuff. He's a very interesting viewer.
Yeah, he is very, very interesting. So we started doing some informal preliminary ARV stuff, and something that he's been very adamant about is that like the targeting language matters a lot because he believes that he can latch on to different things. He can latch on to himself when he's viewing the target feedback. He can latch on to the photographer who's taking the picture in real life. You know what I mean? So that's something that he's been very adamant about, and that's something that I think more research needs to be done on. For example, with this type of remote viewing on social RV, for example, are you viewing the pixels on the screen of the target feedback, or are you viewing the
Right.
target in the real world? And I
Yep.
think that's an answer that can be deduced through research.
And I don't think it's necessarily going to be a one-to-one answer every time. I think you probably are going to be able to find instances where you were definitely just looking at the screen of your computer, and then you'll be able to find instances where it feels like you were there at the target. So,
Yeah.
yeah, probably having that familiarity with the individual commands and being able to predict how the subconscious is going to react to a specific command based on your familiarity with using it in the past,
Hmm.
you can probably invoke both of those two experiences. Um,
Yeah.
and which also speaks to the importance of quality of feedback.
Mm.
Um, if you only have a picture and that's all you have, then you might be able to stretch your imagination to make it feel like you were there at the target. But if you have a dossier on the target,
Mm.
where you have several pictures from different angles and you have a summary description and a paragraph of what the target is, then you can dig into all of that during your session. So,
Yeah, that's interesting. My personal hypothesis thus far is that you can do both or you can do either because I've seen the quality of data with for example AI generated targets where it's not a real image of a real place. I've seen data that shows that is beyond chance. If you average out remote viewing sessions, and then I've also seen like incredible outlier sessions of like maybe the best session that's ever been done on my site was an AI generated target. And it was absolutely stunning. So in that case, like there's nothing else to view besides the pixel on the screen. But I think you're right.
yeah,
I think there is also what's the type of beacon remote viewing where you have an individual physically go to the location that would give
that's called
you.
outbounder.
There you go. There
And
you
yeah,
go.
beacon. Yeah, beacon also was a term that they used, but the SRI protocol on that was called the outbounder protocol, and it was highly successful.
So what's the purpose of doing a protocol like that? Is it just research? Like is there any operational benefit to that?
It makes it The operational quality is it makes it easy to explain the process to a beginner. That you don't have to explain any part of describing, like, it's not a picture. This is a place. There is a human being who is in this place, and it's a human being that we know, and you're going to meet him here shortly, and he's going to be able to tell you about it. Where is he? It's
Mm.
that easy to explain. And so for a person who's wandering through this process for the first time, they used to do this for funding. At SRI, they would bring in some higher up from the CIA who was a skeptic, and they would sit him down and they would have him do a session, and they would do the outbounder protocol because it was easy to explain. Hal Puthoff is somewhere in San Francisco. Tell me where he is. Describe where Hal Puthoff is standing, and it would work.
Yeah, I think on that note, I think live demonstrations is something that this field is missing, and that I think remote viewers need to, I guess, in general, be a little bit more ballsy and do more of. I almost want to believe that there's some sort of an attraction principle, and the universe almost wants it to work more when there's more
Yeah,
on the line.
I leave all of my sessions on Social RV public. I leave
Yeah,
my
me too.
misses public and I leave my hits public.
Yeah.
It's important to me.
Hmm.
And I also want to start doing live demonstrations. I'm gonna start doing that here soon. Whenever that, I was telling Matt about a project that I'm working on. As soon as that's done, I'm gonna start doing live demonstrations with it. So I want to show you another session because I wanted to talk about luminosity a little bit.
Yes, let's do it.
May 21st.
Gotcha. So I'm going to go back a few pages.
It's one of the earliest sessions I did on this.
You said the 21st? 22nd?
These are the 22nd.
Yeah, this one's a 7 community score, so this is probably it.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a little harder to read, but I think, let me just read you through this
Sure.
real quick. What does the target feel like? 2 areas of light texture, dark color, equal size, separated by space in the middle. Feels tired, fatigued, like hard work has been happening. And I said, AO, eyebrows. It looked like I was looking at a pair of furrowed eyebrows. And then this next question really opened the aperture to the target. What sort of colors are here? Light colored concrete, sitting in the foreground in front of a natural green background. Circular feeling. Feels like an important meeting space. Feels old, like a monument to the people who built it and their lasting legacy. Go ahead and look at the target image.
Wow. That's wild. I have seen this one before.
So in that, my AO, I wrote amphitheater and Parthenon, Colosseum and amphitheater. I was seeing like a Parthenon, like a Greek Parthenon, like the shape that I wrote, that I drew down below with white concrete and that circular base. No, right there you go. And the green on the left and the tan earthy color there. If you look at the target picture, on the lower part, there's this base.
Yeah.
And looking at that base, it feels like I'm looking at the Parthenon. And then there's that green to the left and the tan earthy color. I focused in on that base. And that concept of the Parthenon shined so brightly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, what is this data? I really want to dig into it whenever something shines in the remote viewing environment, because usually if I can break that down, that's a really good target description. And in this case, I was like, the Parthenon was an accomplishment. It was this giant stone structure that people worked on for a really long time, and it's still standing. It's still this monument to the efforts that these people put into it, their lasting legacy. And like all of that data just kind of poured out, and it ended up being an excellent description of this target. If you go to the second scan,
the second page.
Yes. This first part up top is really, really good, because I'm talking about this dark area wrapped around a conical shape, even lighter colored strands wrapping around it, tiny points of light here and there like decoration. There are these tiny points of light coming through the trees in the background there.
Yeah.
And if we look at the top of that head, the way that oval shape is set back in that dark area.
Yeah.
And there are these bands. There are these circular bands going around the shoulders there.
Yeah, I see.
They're not unlike what I drew. And that whole time, go back to my scan for a second. Perfect. That whole time I was seeing like Stonehenge, and then I saw a Christmas tree. That's the AOs that you're seeing on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
And so I broke those down. And so the target feels meaningful in a traditional sort of way. Like people would gather here in celebration of a specific time or ceremony, some connection with spirituality or ancient practice.
Wow. Wow.
Numinosity, if a target has some sort of very strong emotional investment that people have put into it over time, it really just wants to pour out that data for you. I don't know what it is about that phenomenon, but numinosity is one aspect of this phenomenon that we need to dig into, because it can really it can differentiate a target that feels completely boring with a target that just feels like it wants to pour out its heart to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think the number one hypothesis for that would be in this space would be that any target that has more like existing emotional, I guess, investment in it is more, what's the word, like stable or established in the collective consciousness, and therefore it's easier to view. I think that that's also something that is, relatively easy to test from a scientific point of view.
Yeah.
It's also so interesting to me when you're when you're doing these sessions, do you get a visual image in your mind's eye, or is it a feeling of an image, if you know what I mean by that distinction?
So I wait for the visual images, and but the thing is, they're not always visual. A lot of times, what I'm asking for is something visual, so I can break it down.
Hmm.
But the feeling question where I start, what does this target feel like? There are so many times where I'll have like an ocean target, and the feeling that I get is like this.
Really?
It's this wild, like, ebb and flow feeling that is very recognizable now. And it is balance. It's like a feeling of sea legs balance. And that it's happened so often now that I feel like that is just my subconscious way of trying to indicate to me that this is going to be an ocean target. So not always visuals, but most of the time what I get that I break down whenever I'm declaring my analytical overlay,
Hmm.
those are usually visuals.
That's
Um,
That's so interesting. The reason I ask is because, like, so for example, in this target image, you got this sort of shape or pattern right here, and you can kind of see it on the shoulders and around the rock. Um, and for me, if I was viewing this target and I were to get that information, that specific detail would be unbelievably difficult for me to get. Reason being is the way I describe the information that I get when I'm viewing is it's almost all visual, and the way I describe it is like, imagine you're like looking at an image and you just close your eyes almost to the point of completion, or like you put on like super high prescription glasses when you don't need them, and the entire thing
100.
gets fuzzy where all I can
Yep.
see is color, because I can see a good amount of color. I'm pretty good with color, and then like very vague shapes. When it comes to any specific detail, I can't tell what the hell's going on, and this is like a very high resolution detail that you got, which I don't, for me that would be so difficult. So you must be getting your information a different way.
I'm getting my information over time.
Mm,
So many people, you'll see they spend 3, 4 minutes in a session. My sessions typically run between 35 and 45 minutes
wow.
because I'm going back for multiple scans, and every scan opens the aperture to the target just a little bit more. Most of the time, like this scan right here where I got that visual data was on the second scan. I bet I was probably about 20 minutes into this session at that point.
Really?
Just going back over and over again and being willing to capture new information that doesn't seem at all related to the earlier information, because again, you don't know what you're looking at.
Hmm.
The conscious mind wants to be like, all right, that first scan, I understood what that first scan was, the rest of this session should conform to the details of that first scan. No, no, your first scan got maybe some murky details and maybe an accurate gestalt feeling as to what it is that the target is going to be in its nature. But that does not mean that your next scans, as they become more accurate visually and in the other senses, are going to agree with that first scan. The best sessions that I've ever had, like this one right here, I was seeing the Parthenon at the beginning and the Christmas tree at the end.
Hmm.
Those two visuals are not at all related to each other. But you capture all of that and try and break all of it down, because the total picture of information that
Hmm.
your subconscious is sending you, you're not going to be able to predict it consciously.
Mm.
Just capture it. And then when you see your target, that's when you get that moment of epiphany and unity, when you realize that the subconscious knew what it was doing the whole time. You just need to get out of the way. You need to stop guessing, stop grasping for naming things, and for convincing yourself that you know what's happening, because you don't. You don't have the information yet. You don't get to know. You have to just wait. And we're not very good at that. The analytical mind hates that answer. It the analytical mind, I call it a warpath that it goes on with guessing whenever it receives that sensory information from the subconscious, but it doesn't have the actual analytical information yet. It refuses that reality. It's going to guess. You have to learn how to ignore it.
That's so fascinating, and there's multiple, I guess, experiences or things that I've run into that reaffirm that belief. So, for example, I've realized recently that I'm much more consistent with remote viewing at night after I've had a long day of working and exerting my mind. And my theory is that my analytical mind is exhausted from the day and it almost is shut off. And the only thing that's kind of still actively running, on high RPMs is the subconscious mind.
Yep.
Same idea with people who meditate. People who are very good at meditating tend to be better remote viewers because they have the ability, the skill to on command turn off the analytical mind.
Yep. All of that's completely correct. Exhaustion is one of those a common experience that people talk about. In productivity also, it's found that rest is one of the most important attributes to productivity, and most of the time, like Edison's a great example. You were talking about tasking your subconscious earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Edison would task in fact, I think there's a quote associated with him that's like, anybody who is going to sleep without tasking their dreams is wasting a third of their life or something like that. And he would do that. He would task his dreams to handle engineering problems, and then he would wake up from his afternoon naps and scribble feverishly in his journal that he kept with him all the time. He would wake up and immediately start scribbling down in his journal. Salvador Dali did the same thing. He would hold out a coin and he would try to go to sleep in a state of exhaustion, and the second he fell asleep, he would drop the coin and the coin would land on a loud glass plate, and then he would instantly wake up and start painting the image that he had in his first instant of being asleep. So this concept of working with your subconscious mind, it has been in use for a really long time. And exhaustion, I think, is one way that people have found. It's a tool that people use to just force the analytical mind to shut up, at least for a little while.
Yeah.
You need your analytical mind, but not when you're trying to listen to the subconscious. You don't.
That's awesome. I think that's a perfect perfect piece of insight to leave off on, because I do have to dip.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's awesome. We gotta do more of this. We gotta go through some more of these sessions. Maybe we can do this like once a month or something, because we always get so much good insight out of this.
I would love to. That'd be great, just to meet up every once in a while.
Yeah, we could do
talk about the state of things.
Yeah.
Your site looks great. I wanted to say that while we're on the recording here.
Okay.
Your site, for everybody watching, arvcollective.com, it's such a great user experience because you're engaging with the site almost like a video game. And I think gamifying remote viewing is the way to reach the public with all of this. It shouldn't need to be some sort of a setting where you feel like there is some ancient wisdom that you have to plumb through in order to see the unseen. It's not like that at all. You can just play with it. And your site really accomplishes that well. I just wanted to make sure that I said that.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, because that's exactly what I aimed at what I aim to do when designing the UI is, one, gamify it and make it fun, and two, remove the stigma and just make it straight up meritocratic. So like, for example, you can't hide sessions on the site. I want to remove the stigma of people thinking, oh my gosh, I got a few bad sessions, I need to hide it. People are going to think I'm a terrible remote viewer. No one has perfect accuracy. The best remote viewers in the world are going to miss sessions. Your missed sessions are fine. Just be honest about it.
Yeah, everybody needs to go into this with the same expectation. This is so much an exercise in humility. Like, you're going to have misses, and if you're smart, you'll try to learn from them. Like, because so many times your misses, you are in contact with a target, you just didn't write down what it was you were experiencing. You didn't capture the information correctly. So like, learn from your misses, and over time your accuracy will improve.
That's awesome. Perfect, man. All right, that's a good spot to end off. I'm going to end the recording.